Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co host, Noor Zainab. And we are back. It is the Super Bowl hangover edition of the show, as we are going to pick some winners. As I'm hitting 53% of my picks, Noor's hitting 51% of her picks. Fun fact, I actually did bet on the two games yesterday. I know it doesn't count towards my overall total, but I got both those games right. I parlayed it with some Super Bowl
Damn.
action, but I lost the Super Bowl portion of that bet. So
So the main event you lost. Damn.
basically, yeah.
Oh, it's too bad. It's okay. We'll make up for it tonight. I have a good feeling about this week.
Yeah,
We
hopefully
can
we
do
can
something.
end on a good note going into the NBA All-Star break, as we're going to begin
Yeah.
with the first game of the night. We got Pistons taking on the Wizards. The Wizards are 4-point favorites. Who you taking here?
Yeah, this one's kind of a little bit interesting because you're just like, which team is worse? you know? And Kate should be coming up and suiting down for this one. So I don't really like what Detroit might be doing there. And Pistons are what, like 26th in defense. So they won't be able to limit the Wizards that much. And Kuz should be able to just get a shot wherever he wants to. Sucks
Yeah.
to say, but Kuz is a baller. Like he can hoop whenever he wants to. And they've been hit, they've been a little bit too hit or miss for me the past couple of weeks, the Pistons. And I think for the most part, they've been mostly missing. They haven't really been producing anything. I would chalk that up to Kate being in and out of the lineup, but I feel like it's also just the Pistons. Like they only just suit up when it's the Raptors and when Dwayne Casey really wants to go off, right? And they give up a lot of points to everyone. This is a
Yeah.
team that cannot defend. This is a team that just lets it happen. They try to make it a game through their offense, but you got to have a little bit of defense going your way. But so I'm gonna say this is gonna be Wiz basketball. They should be able to move the ball a little bit more. They should be able to penetrate the defense. And when you're moving the ball, you're able to get the best shots. So once they're able to do that, they have no problem against the Pistons defense. Like they should be getting open shots, no problem. So give me the Wizards. What about you?
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Both teams are struggling right now, but the Pistons are
Mhm.
struggling more. They're entering Monday's game on a 7-game losing streak. They're 3-12 overall in their last 15. And this is a team, to me, they're just packing it in for the rest of the season, trying to get another good draft pick to, build around Cade. And as much as I do want to bet against the Wizards because they have not been a good bet whatsoever, you named it. I mean, who's going to stop Kyle Kuzma? And this Pistons defense ranks 26th in the league in defensive efficiency. So I think this is going to be a game where the Wizards do get a rare win and they're going to actually look good doing it. So I will lay 4 points here.
Yeah, this is the one that they have to get in the win column. If they don't, this is going to be a throwaway for no reason. Now, on the other side, you have the OKC facing the New York Knicks, where the Knicks are favored by 10 points. What do
A
you
lot
think?
of points. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
points. As you look at the Thunder, Dort's going to be out though, Muscala and Shea.
Okay.
That's a lot of their offense. But the Knicks, RJ's going to be questionable. You got Mitchell Robinson, who's going to be questionable. Noel's out. Or sorry, he's questionable as well. And Rose is out along with Hill. This is too many points for me. I'm going to go with OKC here. You look at OKC, they haven't been winning a ton of games, obviously, but they are 8-3 against the spread in their last 11. And this is just too many points for me to lay with a Knicks team that has been very inconsistent all season long. I do expect them to win because a good portion of that Thunder offense is out. But yeah, I think this is going to be closer than what a lot of people think. So 10 points, I'm not laying it with the Knicks. So I'm going with OKC here.
No, you said it perfectly for me. I think this is if this was any other team against this OKC team that has a lot of weapons that's missing, you would be like, yeah, you know what, maybe lay the points. But against this next team who's been losing and they've been so inconsistent and like we mentioned before too, I think this is not really a team that plays together. It's just one guy that wants to have a night every single night. And that's just not gonna even no matter how good you are, you can't fare that against no matter what teams out there, even OKC. And OKC is a team that has been keeping their games very close. Just like the Raptors, they kind of go down to the last wire. Even without Shea, they've been able to keep a couple games, rather interesting. Obviously, having him in the lineup changes the trajectory for them quite a bit, but without him, they can still make this the game against the Knicks. You mentioned it. I think Knicks should win this, but it's way too big of a spread for me to feel comfortable. I have no confidence in the Knicks like that. So no, thank you.
Yeah, good call there. We'll see if both of us are right. All right, next game, we got the Kings -2 against the Nets, who have lost, 11 games in a row. Are they finally going to end the losing streak here? Thing is, no Kyrie, no superstars, but Seth Curry. and Drummond could play in this one.
I think if that's something that happens, if they're able to suit up, then this is go should go the Nets' way. I understand why the spread looks how it does. You're not going to have any superstars. You just traded Harden, so and you're also going to be plugging in guys that have never played together. So it does make sense to give the edge to the Kings here, who have been playing pretty well recently. They've been winning and scoring. They've won 3 of their last 4 by scoring more than 120 points. And the Nets have been struggling to say the least. They just have not been the Nets team that people have thought they were going to be. But I think if you're going to be plugging in Seth Curry, Drummond, with the addition of already having Patty Mills, Aldridge, and sometimes Blake Griffin, this is a team that can kind of put it together. And I kind of expect them and their role players to come together today because you're going against the Kings. At this point, every single win matters. And East is crazy. East from like what 2 to 6 or 2 to 7 or whatever is very, very close. So at this point, each game matters, each win matters. So I think this is something that they should be bouncing back from. This is something that all the role players should be coming together and just end that losing streak. It's the 11th streak is a lot for a Brooklyn Nets team that has all those guys on their roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going back and forth with this game. It's going to be interesting because I think Brooklyn is due to finally end this losing streak, and I just checked again right now. It looks like Curry and Drummond will be available to make their debut tonight. But I'm
Ooh.
actually going to go with the Kings. The Kings have looked good since trading for Sabonis, and it's funny. A lot of people are roasting them for that trade. It looks like it's injected some life to that team, and in both those wins, they've won both those games by double digits, and they just are playing with a new sense of energy, confidence, and they're going up against a Nets team. I can't trust them right now. You're not going to have Kyrie's ineligible. KD's injured. Ben Simmons, who knows when he's going to make his debut? I haven't read anything up on when he's expected to be actually suited up for the Nets. So I know it's going to be obviously better having Curry and Drummond versus not having them, but is that going to be enough taking on a Kings team that they're still playing for something? They still want to make the play in, and that's why they made that big trade for Sabonis. So that's why you see the Kings favored here. They have been playing really well lately. The Brooklyn Nets have not, and I think it's going to continue being very bad for the Nets here. I can see them losing another one here.
Oh, damn. Luca, I just predicted something. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Nets here. I think this will say a lot about what their team looks like and whether or not they can mesh right off the bat with Curry and everybody else. Now, on the other side, you've got the Portland Trailblazers against the Bucks. Big spread again, minus
Yeah.
15 and a half for the Bucks. You gonna
Yeah,
lay it?
it was 15 and a half. Now moved down to 14 and a half. I'm
Jeez.
gonna go with Portland. This is too many points for me. I think Simons and Hart could prove to be a formidable duo for the Trailblazers here. I know they're tanking, but they still have a good foundation of youth. And I think we're going to see a lot of guys come in and play with no pressure and have themselves a nice game. Now, when these two teams last met each other in Portland, the Bucks did blow them out by 29 points. But overall, the Bucks haven't been a team that has been covering these big numbers this season. We've talked about it many times on the show. So I know they're shorthanded. I know they don't have enough star power to keep up with the Bucks, but 14 and a half, I just don't see it happening, especially in the fourth quarter. If the Bucks do have a big lead, I can see them rest their starters, and that'll give Portland an opportunity to backdoor cover. So I'm not a fan of a spread being this big, even if they are the Milwaukee Bucks. Give me Portland.
100%. I think anything can happen. And like you mentioned, once you get a little bit comfortable down the line when you have a lead, they can easily cut it. Doesn't mean that they're not going to win, just means that your bet's not going to make you any money. And that's why I'm just like, I don't think Vegas is giving Portland's core much credit. Like, yeah, they have had people in and out. They've had a lot of trades happening recently, but you've still got Simons, you still have Hart, you still have Nurkic, and having those guys there is going to be pretty big for them, right? I think they've made it pretty clear that this is going to be their core moving forward. They're not going to touch these guys at all, and they kind of want to grow with them. And that kind of trust already shows you that these guys can produce and they can put forth a good show, and they should be able to cover a spread like that. Like, I don't think they're going to come out and win this by any means, but I think that this is something that they can put up a fight against, especially against the Bucks that are they're not wishy-washy, but they're just, they take their foot off the pedal whenever they want to. So if that's the case, then this is
Yeah.
a game that the Blazers should be able to cover. And like you mentioned, they did lose by 29 points last time, but that should be a pretty good motivator for you to kind of bounce back for this one and just say, hey, we lost by 30 points almost, but we can turn this around and maybe lose by less than 15.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. So we are basically on the same page other than that Nets game. We'll
That's
keep
game,
things
yeah.
rolling here. We got the Spurs taking on the Bulls. The Bulls are 3.5 point favorites.
Those will be fun. DeMar DeRozan against his former team. It's always going to be a slice. I think Chicago has lost just 8 games at home this year. How do you bet against that? It's
Yeah.
hard to bet against that. DeMar is the king of home games. He's always going to show out and show off for his fans. And even without Levine, I think they have enough pieces to put on a show against the Spurs. Now, mind you, I think Spurs are a really good team. I think they just have to get some consistency together and some guys a lot more reps and chemistry produced together. But the people that they have on the roster, it's gonna be down. They're gonna be looking really really well with Pirtle, with Murray, and but they did trade Derek White, but we'll see what they get back for that. But yeah, I think Spurs are also 11-17 on the road, so it doesn't really bode
Yeah.
well with their road record and the Bulls home record. And when you have the best player on the floor in Debo, doesn't really matter if you're not really putting up much defense because it's not like the Spurs play a lot of defense right now anyway. So I'm gonna lay the points with the Bulls and think that DeMar is gonna have a pretty big night. What about you?
I agree. I think his player prop set at something ridiculous like 31.5. I think that's because he's scored 5 straight games now,
Yeah.
30 plus points. Incredible mark that Debo is on right now. He's joining the likes of Michael Jordan in terms of Bulls history there. Yeah, I like the Bulls here. I think they're gonna repay the Spurs, get a little bit of redemption for the last time these two teams met. And I know they're not gonna be with Levine. Hopefully he's okay for the Bulls in the second half of the season. But this is a Spurs team. They've been one of the more inconsistent teams in the league. And we've said it many times on the show, too. This is a team that you feel more comfortable betting on when they're at home versus on the road. This is
Yeah.
still looking like it's a rebuild year for them. They're looking to get a good pick in the draft. So I think the Bulls can get a victory here and cover the spread. I think their defense will do enough. Expect DeRozan to once again have a 30 plus point game. He loves going up against his former teams, and I'll lay the points for those reasons.
Now we have another player visiting his former team. It's going to be Jonas Valencianas and the Raptors, where the Raptors are favored by -3.5. Who are
Oh,
you leading
yeah,
for?
that is right. Wow, that totally went over my head. Jonas going up against the Raptors. Maybe that's why this spread is as low as it is because they're thinking Valanciunas, he's gonna have a big day inside, just as Jokic did on Saturday.
Vegas
Um,
knows.
I'm gonna go with the Raptors here. I think this spread is favorable for them. It was 4.5, dropped to 3.5. And
Mhm.
overall, I mean, they've been a sizzling 14-4 against the spread, one of the best teams in the NBA covering the spread, period. And their last 5 wins have also been by at least 7 points. Meanwhile, seven of the Pelicans' last 8 losses have come by double digits. So I'll take the Raptors here and I'll lay the 3.5. I think they do bounce back. And for as much as Jokic dominated inside in that game, the Raptors only lost it by one. They were right there. And if it wasn't for Jokic swatting OG, one of the meanest blocks you'll see all season, the Raptors probably would win that game. So I like the Raptors to bounce back here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a homer today too. I think you just can't bet on the Raptors right now. They're super hot fire. They're really coming on their own. They've won 8 of their last 9 games and 5 straight road games. And I think the shooting problem that I was worried about, just lack of it, really has not been a problem whatsoever. You've had all these guys being able to come and produce, and Gary Trent has just been an absolute delight. Like being able to put up the points that he does, but at the same time, learning defense, learning our plays, learning the culture of the Raptors, and putting that into play every single day. He has just been off the charts. And that gives guys like Fred VanVleet and everybody else some time to, you know, kind of calm down and wait until the last minute so that they can really put on the show that they have to. They don't really need to exert their energy all at once. That's why I think sometimes you'll see Freddie coming up in the fourth quarter because he doesn't really have to go and produce so hard throughout the entire game at this point. So this is just the Raptors team that's coming into its own. Every single guy is learning their role and they're excelling at it. Pelicans have been struggling offensively and they've lost like 4 of their last 5. So I think this is just a no-brainer to go with the Raptors and hope that this gives them one more win in the win column to, get that train going for the playoffs.
Yeah, it does seem like the logical pick here. So we'll see if the Raps can get a win and cover the number. All right, next game. We got the Rockets taking on the Jazz, 14.5 point favorites here.
Ooh, I was thinking about this one, and maybe it's not the hottest choice, but I'm going to go with the Rockets. I think 14.5 is too big for Utah. I don't trust Utah like that. We're not that close like that right now. And Rockets have lost four straight, and but they might get Eric Gordon back. And having him back will be good and massive for their defense as well as their offense. And then they also added Dennis Schroeder, and he's going to be providing that spark for you as well. So while I think that this is going to be a game that Jazz should win regardless, this is way too big of a spread for me to completely be confident in them. And also, I just think the Rockets have gotten the pieces now and they're plugging people back in that should be giving them enough of a firepower to not lose by 15 points. What about you?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take lay the points here. I like the Jazz. I do. I was looking at the Rockets' last couple of games. I think they're packing it in, Nor. I mean, they got destroyed against the Spurs. They lost to the Pelicans by 13. They got destroyed against the Pelicans, and then they got destroyed by the Raptors. So 14 and a half seems like it's a big number, but to me, the Jazz are starting to find something here, even with Gobert, and they're still fighting for one of those top four playoff spots. They know how important that is to have home court for at least one playoff series. So I think they're actually going to take the rest of these games seriously and they're going to beat up against weaker opponents. The Rockets, to me, I think they're just packing it in. I just don't see them keeping this game close. And the Jazz haven't allowed more than 104 points in their last 5 games. So if the Rockets can't score the ball, it's going to be Jazz all day, every day in this game. So yeah, I like Utah here minus the big spread.
You know, the one stat that actually sold me on Rockets that hopefully doesn't make me look stupid tonight, it's that they've covered the spread in 5 straight against Utah. In Utah
Ooh,
too. So I'm like, if that's the
ooh,
case,
that's
I
pretty
don't know,
good.
maybe, 15 points, maybe it's too big. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna be an idiot betting on the Rockets tonight against the Jazz. Anyway, on the other side, we've got the Magic and the Denver Nuggets, where the Nuggets are favored by -11. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with another big spread. We'll see if
Oh,
these big
damn.
spreads are treating me well after tonight. They have the Magic have really struggled. They're 17 and 15 against the spread as a road underdog, so that is a stat if you want to bet on the Magic. But I just like the Nuggets. I mean, they're 9 and 11 against the spread when favored at home. I know that's not really convincing, but I just look for Jokic to just absolutely have a very good game here. I mean, he's averaging 27.1 points, 13.2 rebounds, and 9.8 assists over his last 14. And Morris could be back for the Nuggets in this one. So I just don't see the Magic keeping this game close. They're a very bad basketball team. I think the Nuggets got a very big win on Saturday against the Raptors, and I think they will win this game by at least 11 at home.
Yeah, I think this was the one that I was most confused about because I just couldn't figure out how I think the Nuggets will look tonight. They Orlando's already lost by double digits, like you already mentioned, to Utah and Phoenix. Well, Denver did lose to Boston and they only won by one to us. And they did have that back-to-back factor where I'm worried about the rest when it comes to and exhaustion when it comes to Jokic, because at this point it's just the Jokic show. You're not really getting much out of his role players, you're not getting much out of the guys around him. It's literally just the Jokic show. And I just don't know if the Denver has the supporting cast to win this one by 12. Like, I know it's just the Magic. I understand they're not that great of a team, but I think the way that we've seen the Nuggets play, it says more about them than their opponents. So at
Yeah.
this point, I'm kind of inclined to go with the Magic. Why I do think Nuggets should take this one. I just think that the way that they've played the last couple of games, I think the rest and exhaustion should add up. And I don't think that they have enough firepower outside of Jokic. Well, he should have a big game. I just don't know if he'll have enough of a big game to blow them out.
Yeah, it's one of those games that can go either way. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there as we head to the final game of the night. We got the Warriors taking on the Clippers, and the Warriors are 6-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, Clippers are what 12 of 17 against the spread this season at home, and
Yeah.
Warriors should have Clay and Curry back for this one. And Clippers are currently in win now mode. They have pretty much solidified themselves in the play-in spot, but if they want to really make sure they're in the playoffs, they got to get every single win in that column right now, which is pretty much like every single team out there. And they've also been a little inconsistent. They've been dropping games that they have no business dropping. They've been not really laying the points where they should be laying the points. And I think that they might be coming back down to earth. I don't know if that's more so about the team itself or is just the fact that, they were able to do something that they were doing before and now it's just coming back down to earth about the lack of shooting that they always pretty much had. I do think the addition of Norman Powell in that lineup should be pretty good for them in terms of scoring and a guy just being able to go out there and make his own shots and get his own shots. But this is the Splash Brothers. This is not the game that he was going to be doing that again. So I'm gonna go with Golden State here. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Warriors too, and I hate to break it to you, but your one of your favorite players, Powell, is not gonna be playing in this one. He's out, so that's really gonna make it difficult for the Clippers,
Very
as they're not only going to be going up against a juggernaut Warriors team, but they are going to be shorthanded. And the Clippers have only covered the spread once in their last 6 games, and they're only 12 and 17 against the spread at home this season. So this is a Clippers team. Yeah, give them credit. Ty Lue and company, they've been able to remain competitive, and they do have some nice wins this season with all their superstars being out. But going up against the Warriors, I know Draymond's not there, but this is a team that we know they can get hot at any time. And I think they will carry some of that momentum of that nice hard fought win against the Lakers. I mean, that game was closer than a lot of people thought, but I think
well.
this time around against the Clippers, they'll win convincingly. So I do like Golden State here -6.
Well, that's that. We've what? I think we disagreed more than we've ever disagreed before today. That's
Yeah, a couple
a
games.
bit of a record. Yeah. Maybe like 3 of the 7 or an 8 or whatever. But follow along, check us out today. Let's see how we do and let us know if you think that we're making the right decisions or the wrong decisions. And you know where to catch us every single day at the parlay at 3 p.m. And it'll be Luca and I. So we'll catch you again. Take care.